Covered alcoholic, my name is Pat Rogan. And thanks to the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous outlined in this big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is the program of AA, I have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And for that, I'll be forever grateful. AA didn't just save my life, but it gave me a new life. Amen. What an amazing life I have. Love this room. I'm grateful that you guys gave me the 27 weeks. And I really think it was only 20, but I don't think it was 27. But
felt like 30.
Who knew the Panthers would be in the Stanley Cup Finals? And
Pierre knew.
And then I had a vacation plan 2 years ago that interfered with that also. But, I love this room. This is one of my favorites. I said it before. The 101 Club in this room here has a special meaning to me, and there's a special energy in these rooms. I think there's spirits in this room that have been coming here for way longer than I've been around. And, a lot of them are up on that wall over there. 101 Club has a similar feeling to it, and just a presence in here. I know we bring it, but I think those guys brought it too, and I think it stayed here. And, what step am I on? It's funny. I was talking before the meeting. When you get to like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you get to those steps, it's kind of awkward for me up here because the newcomer is so important to me. The person that's walking into this room that really doesn't know the program or hasn't grasped the program or hasn't been through the program. And the book is the program, by the way. Welcome to the fellowship. This is the program in here. We're here to support you. And when you get to this point and you hear somebody up here starting to talk about making amends and paying debts back and facing people that you have harmed and and having this spiritual experience, and you're new and you're going, what the hell is he talking about? Because I was there. I was that guy. And probably if you're anything like me, you don't hear any of that anyway. I was thinking, how am I going to get the house back? And how am I going to get the girl back? And how am I going to get custody of my kids back? And that was what was going through my head while somebody was up here talking about whatever step they were on. And so I really didn't hear much my first 3 months that I was in the program, or in the fellowship, I should say. But everything has led to where we're at tonight. I mean, everything that I've done has led to this personality change, this change in my thinking, this change in my emotions, and this change in my actions that was brought about by this program of action. The book refers to it as a spiritual awakening. Originally they called it a spiritual experience, and that's absolutely what it was in hindsight. But and I've had some quick experiences. I've had some damn near white light experiences, but that's not most people's experience. Most people, they say, maybe 10%, maybe 10 out of 100 have these quick experiences. Most 90% of us have this more of an educational variety as we work this program, and some as we live this program. And I've had some really quick white light type experiences in my program, but it started with a surrender. I mean, it all started with, I got to a place, and I don't know when it happened in my 3 weeks in this hotel room trying to drink myself to death. I don't know what day that was that I had this moment where I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know anymore. I'm out of ideas. Up until that point, I had an answer to everything. I mean, I had an answer to all of my problems. I knew exactly how I was going to get that house back. I knew exactly how I was going to put that relationship back together. I knew exactly how I was going to get those charges dropped. I knew exactly how I was going to get my kids back. And all of a sudden, I'm at a point where I don't know the answer anymore. I don't have an answer. And I'm getting up to drink to pass out, to get up to drink to pass out. And I have this epiphany. I have this freaking AA thing comes on my heart. And I don't even know where that comes from. I have no idea. Now, I had a sister that was in AA, and I knew she was in AA. And but we had never talked. I had never talked to my sister about AA. My sister never said, hey, you need AA. Nobody in my family ever said, Pat, you need to go where your sister goes to AA. But God, I looking back in hindsight, looking in the rearview mirror, God put on my heart, said, "You're done. I have a job for you." And I called my sister. And it was in that place where I no longer had the answer that I surrendered. And I think the surrender happened before I got here. I just didn't know anymore. And I think you have to get to that place, right? I think you have to be at that place, right? Pat, what are you going to do? I don't know. Well, man, you're losing everything. I know that. I know. What are you going to do about it? I don't know. Remember when I first got here, people would try to tell me something. I knew everything. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Right? And somebody said, "Pat, you don't know." And I said, "Yeah, I know. Finally got it right.
So true.
Yeah. But it was in that surrender. It was in the, we read how it works at this meeting every week, and it's in those ABCs. It's in that I just don't have an answer anymore, and there's just no human power that's going to solve this problem. It's in that surrender that the miracle starts to take place. And until we're convinced, because the next line after the ABCs, which is the first two steps if you're not sure, the next line is being convinced. You have to be convinced that you're powerless, that I can't stay stopped, and I cannot control it once I start. I have to be convinced of that. And I have to be convinced, and I was convinced. I wouldn't have walked into these rooms if I thought that there was any human power on this planet that was going to solve my problem. But I was divorced, lost custody of my 2 kids, and in a hotel room by myself, trying to drink myself to death. And I couldn't find absolution in that bottle anymore. My sponsors told me, man, alcohol would give me permission to violate yours and my principles, and then later on it would give me absolution. It was the only way I could justify my behavior was by drinking my emotions away, by drinking the guilt away, by drinking the shame away. And I got to this place where I don't know what to do anymore. And I've shared with you guys here many times, and if you're new here, well, like I said, welcome to the fellowship. We're here to support you until you engage in the program. Because I spent 3 months in here dying inside. I love what Russell said. I spent 3 months in here hanging in there. Hanging in there. How you doing, Pat? I'm hanging in there. 4 meetings today. Called my sponsor 5 times. I've almost got another 24. And I was dying in the rooms of AA. I was literally dying in the rooms of AA. I got to a place in these rooms where I can't live with or without alcohol. They talk about that in A Vision for You, that jumping off point, where I can't live with it and I can't live without it. Now what? Now, I had attempted suicide before I got to that hotel room. 2 years before I hit that hotel room, I had attempted to take myself out. And I didn't have the guts to try it again. But what's the difference in being in that room where I can't stop drinking, but I'm getting no relief, and being in the rooms where I'm not getting any relief and I'm not drinking? It's the same place. It's the same place emotionally. And it wasn't until somebody armed with the facts approached me at the 2nd floor railing at the 5th Chapter Club, who said, there's a program here. And I said, yeah, I've been coming for 3 months. He said, nope, you've been visiting the fellowship. There's a program here. It's called the Big Book. Would you like to hear it? And I'm going here because I'm going to start at the 12-step call. I'm going to start at the 12-step call, because that's what a 12-step call should look like. Right? Let's talk about why you can't stay stopped and why you can't control your drinking. And if you're a drug addict here, just substitute whatever your drug of choice is when I say alcohol. Right? The same shit. Love my crackheads. Where are you? You guys get obsession and compulsion. You don't have to spend much time with you on the doctor's opinion. You get it. But that's important information right there. what every alcoholic and addict wants to know, right? Why can't I stay stopped? I've given up my freedom. And I know I'm not the only one in this room that's done that. I gave up 2 boys that I loved dearly. I gave up a marriage twice. Why can't I stay stopped? And the book tells us, give them the medical description. Give them the hopelessness of the illness, right? Bill Wilson, he was selling a spiritual experience to 90 plus people. None of them were buying. Stop that shit. Get away from me with that God stuff, right? And Silkworth told him, stop preaching, Bill. Give them the medical, tell them the hopelessness of the illness. Give them the medical description that I gave you. Tell them why they can't stay. Tell them your story, Bill. Tell them your story. Tell them how you tried to stay stopped and you couldn't. And tell them how once you started, you were on a run. Tell them how you couldn't control it once you put it in your body. That's what people want to know. That's what the newcomer wants to know. Why am I here? Nobody was buying that spiritual solution. Hey, give them the medical facts, then give them your other medicine, right? Then give them your other medicine. We have these camps in AA where there's the one camp that says it's all about not drinking, and then we got this other camp that says, no, it's all about God. It's about both. It's just about which camp do we bring them to first, right? So let's take them to the medical camp first, right? They describe my life. I mean, you talk about a light bulb going off. Is anybody here like me that was really happy to feel that they were ill? Right? I was so happy to hear that I had an illness, I thought I was crazy. Right? Right? Who gives up their freedom unless they're crazy? Who gives up children that they love dearly unless they're crazy? Who gives up a career? Who tells a judge and promises if he lets you out of jail, they'll never drink or drug again, and they're drunk before they get home? You'd have to be crazy. No, you could be ill. You could suffer from an illness. I said, thank God I'm ill. You know? Twofold illness, right? Obsession of the mind, allergy of the body. Right? This idea that keeps telling me that somehow, someday, some way, with the right people in the right place, drinking the right combination, doing the right combination, I'm going to be able to enjoy this. Right? I have a 20-year history that says, no, you're not. Yeah. But I say, this time, it's going to be different. I always tell this story. My brother's allergic to bananas. My brother never said, I'm going to go to Florida. I'll eat them bananas there. I'll be fine. Right? Right? Or it's the brand of banana. I need to switch to those Chiquitas. These Dole bananas is why I can't breathe when I eat a banana. Right? Wait a minute. I think it's who I'm eating the bananas with. You know, I got to eat these bananas with different people. Right? He just don't eat a freaking banana. You know, if you're allergic to fish, you just don't eat fish. But man, this allergy to alcohol is baffling. This allergy to drugs is baffling because there's more to it than just that, isn't there? There's this component that Brian read to me that said, you are restless, irritable, and discontent. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, sober sucks. Sober sucks in and out of the rooms, either way. Sober sucked for me. 3 months, sober sucked. Sandy Beach. You know what happens when you start drinking? You're sober. That shit sucks. Charlie Pomerley. You'll feel better. You'll feel anger better. You'll feel fear better. You'll feel anxiety better. Well, yeah. You realize why you drank. You realize why I drank. Why I couldn't stay stopped. Right? I'm restless, irritable, discontent until I get that ease and comfort. And it comes at about the third drink, maybe fourth. Somewhere in there, I start to get that moment, right? You know the feeling, that first hit, you know? Right? At 20, you know? That first line. Just give me a gram. I'm just going to do a gram tonight. Just give me a 20. That's like the biggest lie ever, isn't it? Right? Just give me a 20. Hold my money. I'm just going to get 20. Beating on the door at 3 in the morning. Give me my fucking money. Ease and comfort, man. That's what I need. I need that ease and comfort, man. And then boom, I'm off to the races. And I come out of that, I am so sorry. Honey, I know I promised again. Your Honor. Yeah, really, this time. Yeah, I know. And I'm good. Till what? Wednesday? Right? I could do about 3 or 4 days, on a promise. On a warrant. On a drug test. I could do 3 or 4 days. And this for you, Steve. And then at Wednesday or Thursday, it's fuck it. Right? And it's not even like I believe a lie anymore. It's like, F it. I can't stand the way I feel for one more freaking second. And I'll believe that lie again. Or I'll know the truth. I'll just do it anyway. And I have people around me telling me, dude, this is what's going to happen. You're being tested tomorrow. F it. You got rent tomorrow. F the rent. We're in the now. Right? We've been living one day at a time our whole lives. This is not a new concept, right? You're going to jail. That's all right. We're living for today. I'll deal with that Friday. Over and over and over again, right? And unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, the doctor's not going to say spiritual experience, right? He's got to have some kind of psychic change, or he's doomed. He and she are doomed. And that was my life for 20 years. And thank God that somebody was armed with the facts. Thank God somebody told me their story. And I started going, yeah, I did that. Yeah, that happened to me. Yeah, I felt like that. What did you do? Well, in chapter 7, it might sound a little dated, but those directions are right there. The only difference is we don't have to search you out anymore. You come to us. We don't have to go drag you out of a bar somewhere. Well, sometimes out of Cracktown, but sometimes out of the bushes. But mostly you come here. They're court ordered. And if anybody's pissed off because people are being court ordered here, blame Dr. Bob, because he went to the police and said, we got an answer. Send them, You're welcome here. Court ordered, mandated, I don't care. Getting your paper signed, welcome. You're here to figure it out. You're here to figure out, can I stay stopped or not? Do I suffer from the illness? Am I convinced of the ABCs or I don't belong here? Some of you might not. Some of you might not. Our book tells you, go test it, go stop for a year. That's like, you kidding me? Right? For me, why would I do that? Try some controlled drinking. I don't know anything about controlled anything. Why would you do that? Why would you control it? Why would you stop at 3? Why would you stop at 5? The more the better, right?
Amen.
That's why they'll never come up with a drug that will allow us to drink like normal people. If there was a drug that would allow you to drink, allowed you to feel okay without booze, what would we do? If they said take 1, you'd take 3, right? Because more is better, right? How many are crushing it? Right? Who's smoking it? Who's cooking it? Right? Yeah. They have no idea who they're dealing with here. But if but in the third step, if we could take that surrender, the next, that surrender, if we could change the way we think, if we could change our emotional state, which for me, my thinking always leads to an emotion, and then my emotion dictates the action, right? And usually that emotion's a lie, So I'm usually taking an action based on something that's not true. So I need to change the way I feel. The only way to do that is to change my thinking, change my behavior, and it will change the way I feel. But the third step tells me that your problem is your behavior. And if you can get your behavior in line with some spiritual principles, remarkable things are going to happen. That's the line. Remarkable things are going to happen if you can take that position. Are you capable of taking that position in step 3? No, I'm not. No, I want my house back. I want my girl back. I want my kids back. And I'll do anything to get them back. But if you could take that position, remarkable things will happen. But there's a trade-off. You got to do his work. You got to do his work well. But I'm that guy that did the 3rd step and didn't get the relief that some people get. I didn't have an experience there. I know people who have. I didn't. I didn't feel any different when I got up off my knee. I still didn't have my kids. I still didn't have my house, which was probably more important than my kids at that time. If you asked me how I was doing, I said, well, that house, man. I got to get the house back. That's all I ever said. If you asked me how I was doing, there was something material coming out of my mouth. There was something relational coming out of my mouth. Right? There was something financial coming out of my mouth. You never heard me say, oh, I'm fine. I got to get that house back. Car's running like shit. I'm running out of money. Child support shit. I had Jim B. was doing a step series. I said, Jim, I'm not getting this 3rd step. Did you ever go share about, I don't know, these open discussion meetings, where they open it was who's got a problem? You ever go to one of those? Well, I was the guy. Yeah, I lost my house, my kids, wife's got charges, assault and battery, restraining order. And somebody in the meeting always says, oh, you need to turn that over. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? I need an attorney. Any attorneys in the room? I had no clue. Jim says to me, Jim B's doing a step series. And I said, Jim, I'm not getting this 3rd step thing. He says, have you started writing yet? I said, no, why? I have to get the 3rd step first. No. The 3rd step is a decision. Now do the work. And then remarkable things will happen. But for most of us, remarkable things don't happen at 3. You just made a decision to change. You haven't changed. You've made a decision to live by spiritual principles, but you haven't. You're not. I'm not. I'm still the same person that walked into the rooms. Anything I'm doing is to get something back. If I'm doing something good for you, I want something back. If I'm being nice to you, I want back, and I want you to drop that restraining order. I want you to drop those charges. The 3rd step tells me I'm selfish, I'm self-centered, I'm driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-pity, and I'm the one stepping on everybody's toes. They're retaliating, and I'm blaming them. Find out if it's true. That's what Jim said to me. Find out if they're right. See if they're right. See if that's true. Yeah, it was true. 4 and 5 reveals the truth, right? We find out the truth about ourselves. That's what moral means. Find out the truth. They didn't say immoral or amoral. Moral. What is the truth? Is that true? Yeah, it was true. We get the responsibility call and go, oh my God, this is all my fault. Because really we take their inventory, don't we? In the first 3 columns, we're taking their inventory, not ours. We don't take ours till we get to that 4th column. What did I do? Yeah, this is all my fault. And I had my experience in 5. I've shared that over and over again here. I had an experience in 5. I might have had some spiritual beliefs, but after sharing my 5th step, I had a spiritual experience. It was the difference between believing and experiencing, or even just willing to believe and having God enter your heart and having proof in something you can't see. That's different. That's what happened to me in 5. I feel a nearness to my Creator. I feel like the drink problem has been removed, and it was for me. That's a hell of a promise. Those 5th step promises are serious. They are some serious promises. But not everybody has it there. I did. I got free there. I got free of the obsession. I've been chasing that. Now, since that day, I want more of that. It was the first time in my life that I was at peace without a substance in my body. That I was okay. I mean, literally okay. I didn't have any of my stuff back yet. And I was okay. I was no longer in the freaking house. When you asked me how I was doing, the house wasn't coming up. I was okay. And as we chase that, as we change to get more of that, which is how we get more of that, is we get more principally aligned so that we're not creating this conflict in my life. I found out that I need to be conflict free or I'm going to get hot. That's just the bottom line. I can't stand conflict. Thank God for step 10, man. You know, thank God. Thank God that I'm starting to show some restraint in my life. And I don't have to apologize near as much as I used to. You know? But thank God for 10. To keep getting me back to that place. To keep bringing me back. 10 and 11 keeps bringing me back to that place. But how about the 9-step promises are cool. This new freedom and, you know, all promises of the mind, right? I'll no longer be threatened by financial or material loss. I'm intuitively not to handle situations that used to baffle me. I'm no longer driven by the obsession to drink or drug. That's been removed. But that step 10 promises are the real, those are the real deal. Those are the ones I was looking for. Yeah. You put a drink in front of me, I recoil. It doesn't even, I don't want anything to do with that. That's a freaking hot flame. Right? That's a hot flame. That's dynamite. That's what I see. I'm afraid of it. I am. I'm afraid of it. That will blow up my life. I know that's dynamite right there. I think I shared with you last week, you know, when I have to move liquor from a cabinet where I'm working, it's like moving dynamite. It's like, you know, I'm scared to death of it. Right? Book said we kept putting our hand on that hot flame, and how many got burnt over and over and over again, just kept getting burnt. And everybody telling us, what's wrong with you? How could, I heard that a lot. How could you? That was my ex. How could you not come home on Christmas Eve? I'm not stupid. And I went, I don't know. I was on my way.
Best of intentions.
Bought a bottle of wine if I had never opened it, I'd have been fine. The drink problem has been removed. That's what it says. Drink problem has been removed. Recovered. That's what recovered means. And I know that gets somebody's hair standing up when I say recovered. Because you hear cured when I say recovered. Right after that it says, no, we're not cured. We'll never be cured. We'll never be able to drink normally. But I have recovered from the obsession to drink or drug. I no longer believe the lie. I'm no longer consumed. I no longer need that to get relief from that torment that I live with certain days. When the conflict hits, I don't need a drink to solve it. I have other options. I have a God that I can reach out to in my life. I have you. I have this room. I come to this room, there is power in this room. As soon as I walk in here, am I the only one that walks in here and just goes, whew? No matter what's going on out there, it doesn't matter what's going on out there. As soon as I walk in here and sit down, it's all good. At least for this hour. The shit might still be going on out there. But for the hour, I'm fine. I can get out of that conflict just by calling a sponsee and asking them how they're doing. They think I'm checking on them. Trying to get out of my shit. Yeah. Once in a while, they'll even call me. That's really cool. Yeah. That's really a bonus, you know, when somebody asks me, how you doing, Pat? Yeah. Well, nice of you to ask. Yeah. I could call my sponsor. I have so many other ways to connect with the God of my understanding. And I want more of that. I want more of that. I have had a spiritual experience. I have had a spiritual awakening. I've had a personality change sufficient to recover from alcoholism and drug addiction as a result of the program outlined in this book. That's the greatest promise in the book. The 12th step is the greatest promise in the book. God, that's what I was looking for. It's what I wanted all my life. And I want more. And it's a good thing that I want more of that. And I've been chasing more of that. You know, Bill Wilson was, I don't know where I heard it from Ben T. He uses the word divine dissatisfaction. And where he got that from was Father Ed Dowling. And Father Ed Dowling was Bill's spiritual advisor, he called him, but he was really a sponsor, I think. But I mean, look, he never disrespected Ebby. He always called Ebby his sponsor. You know, up until the day he died, Ebby was his sponsor, right? But he called Ed Dowling, Father Ed, his spiritual advisor. But we know Ebby bounced in and out of the rooms. And Ebby was 2 years sober when he died. Ebby had 7 years at one time when he was in Texas. So, you know, Ebby wasn't that drunk everybody thinks he was. You know, he had some relapses like a lot of us, you know. And, but Bill Wilson would fall in, by his words, these imagined depressions. He would call them these imaginary ulcers that he would get, you know, especially when he was writing the literature. When he would sit down and try to write How It Works or the big book or the 12 and 12, he would get these imaginary ulcers, he called them. And he would fall into this depression, right? And he had some time. I mean, to them it was time, right? I mean, he's writing the book. He's, 4 years sober? You know, he starts at 37, he's 2 years sober. But he finishes it, he's 4 years sober. That's just incredible, you know. And he meets Father Ed at a turning point. You know, he thinks there's some drunk stumbling up the steps. It's Father Ed who's got polio. You know, he can't walk. You know, he's stumbling up the steps. Oh, shit, another drunk, you know. And he pulls him out of this depression, and he says to Father Ed, will this ever end? And Ed looks at him and says, no. No, it won't. And then we're back to the thorn, right? We're back to the thorn. You know, without that, you're not coming to me. You know, without you falling into that position, who are you praying? Are you going to pray if you don't? And Ed becomes his sponsor, really, for the rest of his life. Right? But this divine dissatisfaction that there will never be enough God, that we always need more God. And I shared with you guys last week that I've learned that in what I looked at as tragedy. All through my recovery. And what I looked at as rejection was really redirection. If I took the proper attitude towards it, if I saw it for what it was. This idea of getting complacent in AA. This idea of flatlining in my home group. Because I've learned everything they have to teach me. Right? They can't teach, they don't know anymore. I need more. I need to move outside of my comfort zone and get more. This divine dissatisfaction will be in my life forever. I'll probably flatline again sometime. But I recognize it now. Where are you going to grow? Right? I need to be around people who challenge me. Right? I think it's Oswald Chambers that says it, right? Pick your friends like you pick your books that know more than you. Right? Read books that know more than you know, so you'll learn. Pick friends that know more than you, so you'll grow. Amen. Right? So a little over a year ago, it was one of the biggest rejections that took place in my life by somebody very dear to me. Redirected me to some of the people in this room. Sheldon, Maddie, you know, I hope I'm not missing anybody, but
doesn't matter.
Who challenged me spiritually. Paul, Russell.
You were doing so well.
I have to give him some credit. They challenge me. They know more than me. Right? They have something I want. I'm going to chase these guys. Right? I'm going to hang on to these guys. I'm going to stay close to these guys. Because I need what they have. We were just talking about Father Kelly before Father Kelly, who just left my parish after, 40 years. He's like my idol, man. I love it. There's not too many preachers that I really connect with, you know, because a lot of it seems scripted to me. A lot of it seems rehearsed. Not Father Kelly. Father Kelly would roll his eyes back into his head, and he would look up and boom, he would just go. He would just go off on a sermon, And I used to sit there and go, oh my God, I want what he has. Tears would be coming down his face. When he did the Eucharist, and I'm not selling any religion or anything, I'm just sharing my experience. I would watch him while he did the Eucharist, and tears are coming down his face. He is connected. He's not driven by the flesh anymore. Bishop Barron talks about that too. He's not caught up in that anymore. He's not worried about what people think or whether women like him or not. He don't care. He's not driven by that anymore. He doesn't care about the financial success. He don't care about the cars or anything. He is so connected to his power that he don't care. He don't need any of that to be happy. He's happy. He don't care what people think about him. And I'm sitting there, I look at my wife, I go, I want what he has. Right? And I shared that from a podium one night up in Boca at Meisner. And it choked me. It was the first time in my life that I was speechless at the podium. I had nothing to say. I had like 10 more minutes to fill, and I went, I'm done. I lied. I don't really want what he has, because I'd have to do what he does. Right? I like my truck. I like sex. I don't want to give that shit up to get what he's got. See, he's found a freedom that I know nothing about. Because I'm still a slave to the flesh. I'm still a slave to the material. I'm still a slave to the social instinct. I still care what you think, as much as I might say I don't. I'm still hurt when you don't like me. I don't know what it means to be that free, and am I even willing to do what it takes to get that free? Probably not. Maybe someday, I don't know. But I admire that. I get, I used to wonder why you would want to be a priest. Who would want to take a vow of celibacy? What kind of dysfunction is that? It wasn't until I met Father Kelly that I realized, and Bishop Barron, until I started following Bishop Barron. It wasn't until I met those two guys and followed those two guys that I get it. I get why you would do that now. You're free, really free. They're so connected to that power that that's all they need. That's all they need to be happy. I admire that. I envy that. I can't do that. The 12-step call in our book, and when they were doing 12-step calls early on, were exactly outlined the way this book is outlined, right? The doctor's opinion, tell them the hopelessness of the illness. Somebody's experienced strength and hope. Here's the solution. Here's what happens if you don't find the solution. More about relapse, right? And here's a way that anybody can find a solution. We're going to open up a door so wide that an atheist can walk through it. And then we'll say, okay, now here's the directions. Right? They were doing that in 2 visits in early AA. When they had 75% success rates, I'm just saying what the book says they had. Clarence Snyder used to brag about 93% success rates. Right? That's how they were doing a 12-step call. They got clear on the very first visit on what the problem was, what the solution was, and what they did to find a solution. And we'll be back tomorrow or day after, and we'll see if you're ready to make a decision. And then they come back the next couple of days and say, okay, you ready to get on your knees? Now, I'm not saying you have to do that in third step prayer, but that was their day. Right? And if you get on your knees and you surrender, now you can come to a meeting. That was a requirement. You had to surrender to go to a meeting. And that might be why their success rates were so high. Because if you didn't surrender, you weren't coming. I'm not saying it has to look like that. But I'm telling you, I don't think it's meant to be slow. The only time I will slow somebody down is if they're not convinced. Then we'll slow down. I take people through the steps in 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. Right? We get together once a week for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Usually in groups sometimes. Right now I'm taking 3 guys, I think, through the steps this month. And we get through them. Not everybody gets through it. But look, if you ask me to sponsor you, you've asked me to take you through the steps. That's what you've asked me to do. And I make that clear as soon as you ask me, will you sponsor me? Yes, here's the deal. You asked me just now to take you through the steps. And here we're going to start our workshop on this date, and we're going to take 4 or 5 weeks to get through them. and you'll have to be there every week. And the other two, I have two more rules than that. The other one is if you call me, you have to leave a message. I need to know the urgency of the call, right? If you're just calling me to check in, text me or something, right? Or text me, I need to talk now, and I'll break away from what I'm doing and I'll go make the call. But if you're just checking in and I'm underneath the sink hooking something up, or I'm talking to a customer, I'll call you when I get in the truck. And the other requirement is you need to chase me. I'm not chasing you, right? You took a bus to get your freaking crack, you can take a bus to get to the meeting.
Amen.
You know? You walk to get your crack. Yeah.
Preach, brother.
Am I going to get condemned by the tradition police?
You get a pat on the back from the old timers.
Hey, you know, that being said, identifying the right fellowship, right? Identifying the right fellowship. You might come here and hear an alcoholic story and go, nope, not me, I didn't do that, nope, I'm a crackhead, not an alcoholic, I don't belong here. Well, you know what? Go to CA, go to NA, listen to some of their stories, identify, and if you want to come here and work the steps out of this book, I'll take you through. You know, but you need to identify. And there's drug addicts that won't identify in AA. That's why we have NA, CA, DAA, HAA, all them A's. You know? It's true. I mean, I do service and all. I'm doing a DAA convention up in Port St. Lucie coming up. You know, I'm active in CA. I love CA. They use our book. DAA uses our book. HA uses our book. NA, got a little. Got their own book. But it's a good book, right? There's some, look, NA takes it a little bit slow. Some of them take a little bit slower than what I do. And look, if that's the case, if I'm sponsoring somebody that needs some time to detox, we slow it down. I get it. I get the chemistry is different. I do. The detox on some of the opiates, it takes time. It takes time. I get it. That's why you need to be here. That's why you need to be here all the time. That's why you need to do meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, because people don't drink and drug here. And you can lean on them, and they will hold you up until you're able to absorb this work. We disrespectfully, I think, talk about this pink cloud. It's not a pink cloud. It's a spiritual window. You know, it's a window of opportunity. And you don't have a lot of time, because a lot of us forget real quick the tragedy that brought us in here. We have this euphoric recall where we forget the tragedy and just remember what it did for us, hence the obsession. And I'm just going to have a couple of hits. I'm just going to have one. That's, you know, the book really talks about the 12-step call like that, you know, because it doesn't have to look like that, you know. The trick, and I'll end with this, the trick is to, and the necessity is to practice these principles outside of here. Anybody can do this for an hour. You know, how am I doing in traffic? You know, how am I doing on that merge in the morning? You know, how am I doing with my wife and my children? How am I doing with my coworkers? How am I doing with my customers? Am I practicing these principles there? Am I practicing the patience and the tolerance and the understanding and the forgiveness? Am I practicing it there? You know, I have a AA logo on the back of my truck and my motorcycle and my car and my van, my work van. And it's not to say, look at me, I'm in AA. But it's really cool when somebody recognizes it and gives you a thumbs up. Friend of Bill, you know, I just love that connection that takes place. I have a little medallion, not a little small one, and once in a while somebody will see it and go, oh, you're a friend of Bill's. And it's like walking into somebody's house and seeing a big book. You know, there's a connection immediately. And I love that. But if I'm going to have it on my truck, I better represent it. If I'm going to wear it, I better represent it. I can't be giving people the finger when I got that AA sticker on the back. You know? Look at that guy practicing the program. You know? And I want to tell you something, it prevents me from doing it. One of my best stories is Brian chasing me down the. I cut this guy off, I guess, going into the toll booth at the Sawgrass Expressway, And the guy starts chasing me down the highway, right? And Brian's telling me the story. I start chasing this guy down the highway because he cut me off going through the toll booth. And he says, and the closer I get to the vehicle, the more it looks like Pat's van. And I realize I'm chasing my sponsee down the Sawgrass Expressway to kick his ass. You know, I never forgot that story. I never forgot that story. I think about that every time I want to give somebody the finger, or every time I'm on my way to a meeting and I'm tailgating. I've tailgated people into the meeting. You know what I mean? I think about it a lot of times when I want to violate a principle and realize that I'm going to be speaking tonight on spiritual principles. I've shared with you in 6 and 7, hit and run somebody's car, and I'm on my way to speak on spiritual principles, right? Can't do it. You know, hypocrisy gets high. You know, they get drunk. On my way to the meeting, I got a call, so I just hit and ran your car. You know, that's a true story, by the way. Unfortunately, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Yeah, man. Anyways, it's been a real honor being here. You know, like I say, I love this room. Sorry that a lot of things came up that extended this down the road, but I'm looking forward to keep coming to this room and listen to the speakers that are coming up next. So thanks for letting me be here.
All right.